Boom, boom. I think we are live. We'll get started in just a second. Welcome to another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. I was about to say Two Lost Conversations because I do another piece of another content series called Two Lost Conversations, and I just had a great conversation with a really dope artist named Julia Cooper. So I was in my Two Lost Conversations mode. Let's see, we got Jordan here too. Jordan, what up?
Yo, yo.
We'll get started in just a second. I'm over here getting situated, making sure that we're going live on Instagram as well. Boom, boom. Normally, when I start these sessions, I just like to get a win from you guys. So, over the past week, what has happened that you would consider a win? Now, it could be a big win, it could be a small win. We just want to make sure we winning and building on small wins every single week. What you got for me, Jeremy? What's a win past week?
A win the past week. I would say being able to balance a lot in life at the same time and all of them run smoothly. So to give you a quick rundown of last week, Jordan and I were in Charlotte, North Carolina on Thursday was it Thursday, Jordan?
Yeah.
Thursday night for an open mic, our first show there, went very successfully. And then great crowd. Then the next day we went to Coachella, made it there, did a couple interviews, got some content, then came back to LA, did an event, went to San Diego, and then I made it through another weekend of Coachella. So the fact that I'm alive, honestly, is a big win.
Yeah,
those are huge wins. And on top of that, you're constantly updating people on the beef between Kendrick and Dre. You're dropping these beef videos that are going wild as well. So I'm not
like in between. All right, we're about to head to the festival. Let me.
I was like, I gotta miss a couple sets because I get people texting me now, and you know what's funny because I took for granted the fact that I care about this / have cared about this for 10 years. So people will ask me now, like, hey, what's actually going on between what's this AI diss track? Is this real? So I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me put it together.
Got Jordan. I mean, it sounds like you were a part of these wins, but was that going to be the win that you're sharing, or do you got a different take or a different win?
Definitely all of those. And then we also did a last minute event last Wednesday. We did a Pass the Aux at Creative Sound Studio. And it was like a very last minute thing, like 5-day, 4-day notice, but it was very successful. Like we may as well have planned that thing for like a month the way it looked.
Dope.
And it was funny because I had just got back from New York.
Yes.
I just got back from New York. So there was only one day I was going to be in LA, and it was like, boom, all right, let's put it on this day. And then it just worked out. And then next day we hopped off a plane from New York, came to LA, did the event. Next day, flew to Charlotte. And then even today, we're doing a last minute event today, this new experience. And we just launched it on Saturday, and it's going very well already. So it's, like
we gonna jump. Eventually, I'm gonna ask you, like, why are we doing last minute planning? Like, why aren't we just planning ahead? But I'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Let me take a step back. This is another episode of Two Lost Office Hours. We're live every Monday at noon. We bring some really dope guests on to give you just information about different aspects of the music business. There's a lot of different people in this industry just moving and shaking, as you've heard. I mean, these guys are constantly making content, creating events. This organization is called Something Dope for the People. And we have my guy, Jeremy. Is it Hecht? Is it
Hecht?
I haven't said it out loud yet. Hecht.
Yes,
there we go. Jeremy Hecht and Jordan St. Pierre here today. I appreciate you guys joining me today.
Let's go. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. And first of all, I feel like just having this platform and informing people is so valuable. And the fact that you do it on a consistent basis is super dope. So I'm excited to be a part of it. We got to get your win before we start, though. What's a win from you?
Man, in addition to my role at Two Lost, I work with a comedian named Big Ja. And we have locked in a venue for our live premiere of our new web series called The Lesbian Homie 3. It's the third season. So that's my win outside of Two Lost. Now, within Two Lost, I was in New York last week I was sick. I got sick most of the week, but I still was able to meet with the team. I still was able to show up to the events that we sponsored. So shout out to Nyla Simone, who put on a really dope event on Friday night. It was dope. It was an R&B night, great performances. And then we supported another organization called 24/7 Artists on Saturday. I was able to make it to that as well. It was like an artist camp. Artists were there making music on the spot right there in Audio Mac Studio. So shout out to Audio Mac. Shout out to 24/7 Artists. So it sounds like we all have been getting active. We are very, very active. So let me take a step back and allow one of you guys to even let people know, like, what is something dope for the people if they're not familiar?
It's actually funny. That's a very hard question, even though it's like our whole life. But essentially, it's just like a energy, a large community, you know, like in the simplest terms. We are mainly independent artists, but there's people in the community that are just, you know, kind of supporters. So not everyone is here to make music. Some people are just around and supporting. But yeah, what would you say, Jeremy?
I would say it's a collective of like-minded individuals who come together with the common goal of elevating their craft and building something together. And I think it's elevated over time into different things, and maybe that takes different forms in an event or in an open mic or in a networking space or in a song or whatever it may be. But it's a very positive space where people really do just support each other and uplift each other. And it's been really cool to witness the growth and be a part of it.
Yeah,
It's very anti-stereotypical LA. I mean, most people have the wrong perception of LA. I mean, there's a lot going on in LA. Is you know, but the vibe is very communal, is positive, just like what they said. But you know, these are opportunities. They present opportunities for independent artists to work on their craft, work on their live show, to network, to get in front of some new potential fans. So these are the guys that are creating the platform for you to potentially, you know, earn some new fans so that you ultimately can build a career. You know, that's what something dope for the people is to me from the outside looking in, you know, because you guys are providing tons of opportunities, you know, for artists that might not have created the opportunity for themselves. And I've been to one of the events. It sounds like you got a million and one things going on, but is there like a flagship event that you guys can describe so that people are like, oh, okay, I get it. And then like, how do artists tap into that?
You know, we try to not box ourselves in any ways. At one point, everyone just thought of us as an open mic, which, you know, we can say that's the flagship event for now. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, Jeremy hosts the open mic, so he'd probably be best to explain how that goes down.
Yeah, so it kind of started, you know, Jordan had been building something dope for years prior, but the open mic specifically started with the intention of, like you said, giving as many artists the opportunity to hit a stage as possible. And when we began it kind of started as just that. But we quickly realized it could be a lot more. It could be this place of support. It could be an opportunity for artists to be comfortable, to try new songs out, to get on stage for the first time. So at the beginning of every night, we basically just set the stage to say that this is, you know, a place for everybody to support each other. If you have any weird energy or, you know, you're too LA, like you said, or too cool for this, like, you can leave. All we want is love and support in here. And we started doing a random raffle system at our events so that, you know, at other open mics, a lot of people would get on stage and leave, or their friend would get on stage and you'd be cheering, but then you'd leave right after you got on stage. If you didn't, cool. Like, you know, you'd wait till the end of the night and then you'd go. So we do a random raffle system so that everyone ensures that they get the same experience. So we have, you know, whether we have 50 or 400 or 1,000 people, depending on the open mic, those people are tuned in, supporting, clapping, and somebody could perform for the first time ever in front of a supportive crowd of 300 people rather than, you know, at the open mic coffee shop, which nothing wrong with that, but we wanted to provide like an elevated, real tour-like experience for each artist that gets on stage.
And the crazy thing too, when we launched the open mic, like I personally had never been to an open mic before we even did our own. so I didn't know we were breaking lots of open mic rules. But it was a very unique thing to not guarantee that you can perform. You know, like people were like, "What? I gotta pay to perform? I never paid to perform in an open mic." And I was like, "Well, it's even worse. You gotta pay to maybe perform." So it was and open mics, like, you know, with talking to different venues that are, you know, like on the more bougie side, and just talking to like our cooler artist friends and music industry people, it wasn't too appealing. You know, it's like open mic, like, well, I don't want to, why would I go to open mic for?
Yeah.
But how the tables have turned.
Yeah. No, I mean, I tell artists all the time. I mean, you know, it's cool these days. If an artist doesn't want to perform, you can pursue a career where, you know, there's other revenue streams that are available to you if you're able to build it, right? Like there's some artists that, you know, just make money via streaming. They're not really interested in performing. Actually, Nick D is an example. Nick D is a huge streamer. He's a big artist. He just enjoys spending time with his family. He's not really interested in touring. So it's cool these days that you can kind of carve out a way to pursue your career that suits your style or your family goals or what have you. But if you do want touring and live shows to be a part of your overall business, you know, you're going to have to put on a good show. And in order to get to that point, you need your reps, because there's very few artists that step on their first stage and just crush it. Right. Are there any case studies from your experience that now that you guys have been throwing shows for a while, of just artists that maybe started performing with you guys and then have gone off to do some pretty amazing things?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's this duo by the name of Flyana Boss. There's Inca and there's Bobby, and they actually are like our real life friends. So they were at our very first ever Something Dope event, just there to support. And fast forward, like they performed at our very first Something Dope for the Ladies event. It was their first ever performance. And I was looking at an Instagram story a girl posted like 4 or 5 years ago. It was their first performance. And she was like, I don't know who these girls are, but they only have 300 followers and they're going to blow up. And fast forward, you know, we started like throwing more shows with them. Like we threw a few of their release parties for songs that they had coming out. And each release party that we were throwing with them, their manager was bringing all these different industry people. They're like, you got to come see the girls. You got to come see the girls. So we're being very consistent. And fast forward, they're like maintaining their social media. They're just amazing, you know? So like their live performance is infectious, and they were able to translate that into content. But they've blown up now. They have a song with Missy Elliott. And we actually threw the release party for their song that went viral. So this song has like 40 million streams. We threw the release party for it. We had like maybe 400 people there. It was ladies' night event. And 5 days later, boom, it just erupts for them. They went on tour with Janelle Monáe. And we shot an episode of a TV show for our event. And they were the only artists that we have a full edit for. So it's like, you know,
and they came in second place.
They came in second place.
Shout out to Big Mike the Virgo.
Yes, Big Mike's probably here right now somewhere on YouTube or Instagram. But
not and when I'm asking people to share these stories, I don't want people to get the impression that I'm saying that, like, you know, this one thing like blasted them to stardom. Now, when you start getting traction, it's the combination of a lot of things. It's a combination of a lot of wins, a lot of people in your corner, a lot of hard work. You know, this was just another platform that helped push them a little further, whether it was getting them more exposure, getting them more comfortable on the stage, or or introducing them to new people. I feel like you got to take advantage of a lot of opportunity, or as many opportunities as you can, you know, as you start to get traction. Can you lay out? So we have something dope for the people. We have the kind of the, you know, I'm gonna use the word flagship, but let's just say the open mic. And then you mentioned something dope for, is it ladies or something dope for the women?
Yeah, something dope for the ladies.
And that's similar, but that's an all women platform, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's all women artists, DJs, small business vendors, and like a lot of our events were easily male dominated. So we partnered with a few homegirls and we started this extension of the brand to shine more of a light on them. And like
Dope.
honestly, that side of the brand is like it's moving, you know. So
Nice. And
there's
then
also
and then you my bad.
oh,
And then you guys have passed the aux, right?
yeah,
Can you
yeah,
explain what
that's
that
the
is?
accidents. So those events, we've probably had maybe 30 to 50 of them. We first started them at a studio that I was working at. It was Pooh Bear's music studio, and you know Pooh Bear did all the Bieber records. And my mentor Ali, he was like very trusting me, and he's a big part of something dope. He allowed us to bring any artist to this studio that literally has a 55 times diamond plaque for Despacito. So we started it there. We didn't charge anything, and we were using the A room, and we had the roof, and people were able to get feedback from Ali and other people that we would have there. And one of my friends told me, he was like, dude, thank you. Like, that's the most important person I've ever played music for. And that was like, whoa. It's like people never really have opportunities to do that and to get real honest feedback. So fast forward a couple years later, we've been consistent with the Pass the Aux events just as much as any other events. And they are like, honestly, they're one of my favorite events because it's easy to get bigger industry people to come. And I feel like the artists get so much value, and there's way more of an ability to help way more artists. You know, we got 3 or 4 studios versus one stage.
Yeah. And am I missing any other branded series or event? What is there? Is there other stuff?
So there's something funny for the people. Jeremy did a sold out comedy show.
Oh shit! I didn't know
My,
that. I didn't know.
well,
Doing comedy now?
I didn't know I was doing it either until Jordan sent me a text saying, "Hey, I booked you for your first ever stand-up show, and it's in 2 weeks. You got to come up with the set." And apparently, it was a sold-out show as well. So for my first ever comedy show, we did in North Hollywood in front of a couple hundred people, and then I retired on top. But the
So
brand is dope.
how are you selling? Like, how do you sell that one out? Like, do you already have just kind of a built-in audience that trusts you to put on dope stuff? So, you know, it kind of sells out no matter what you do. Like, because it's really hard for a lot of promoters and people that put on events to throw them successfully and actually make money doing so. So that event in particular, something funny for the people. Like, what was the process and how did you get that many people in the room for somebody that's never done stand-up comedy before?
Well, there was a lineup of about 6 comedians, and Jeremy probably did bring half of the room, like because people were so excited to witness this. It's like, what, you're doing comedy? You know, like I gotta see it. But we also partnered with some like Jay Snow. He's very reputable and known comedian out here. That's the homie. And Super Hot Fire. Jeremy got Deshaun Ross, Super Hot Fire on there. So
Okay.
it was a solid lineup of comedians, and it's like 120 person room. You know, these comedy rooms aren't super huge.
Yeah.
But really, it comes down to just being consistent. It's like we've done 200 events in LA, and that's a lot of people, you know. So once you have 15 to 20,000 people in LA, you only need to convert, you know, like a couple % of your audience for anything.
And to Jordan's point, it's funny because something dope to me is more of an energy, like we were saying, than necessarily one thing. And it kind of goes into all of those events because people come up to us after and it's things that I couldn't have even dreamt to hear after being on a stage or being a part of an event where people say things like, I've never experienced anything like this, or you gave me the confidence to pursue my art, or I just met 30 new friends, or I'm
Best days of my
inspired,
life.
changing my life, you know. So
Changing life. Oh my God.
it feels like a lot of responsibility or at least purpose. And so we try to put that into each event, whether that be through, you know, we do manifestations at events, we do affirmations, we do, you know, networking circles, and kind of try to create a comfortable space. We're not, you know, it's not perfect. There's obviously going to be people that come in and out that kind of mess up the vibe here and there. But the fact that it's remained consistent in the sense of most people walk away feeling something like that is really inspiring to hear.
Dope. And so how and then you guys have started to do stuff outside of LA. So you guys have a plan to kind of take this global. How do artists tap in? How can they be a part of this? How can they learn more? Um, yeah.
I mean, just show up, like just show up, and that's just kind of like advice for life, is you just got to show up. Like we have so many DMs that we never read with the same question: how do I get on stage? How do I do this? Just show up, like there's an artist that came to our event from LA to Charlotte. She showed up in Charlotte. She didn't even have to ask us how she can get on stage. Just because she showed up, we took care of her. And we're going to Denver on Wednesday. There's an artist that's flying from LA to Denver, a few artists flying from LA to Denver on Wednesday, which these tickets are like $80 round trip. So it's not as expensive as artists may think to go to other cities and start building community there. But you got to show up for yourself.
Who's flying to Denver for $80? I'm gonna go just hang out in
Well, you
Denver.
could have flown for Denver for $40. This is the crazy part.
Damn. Okay.
You
No,
may
well,
not
yeah,
get
I
a
mean,
carry on, but
oh, it's spirit where you're gonna have to pay for a seatbelt. Um, no, I mean, I think you're right. Like a big part of it is just showing up. I think there's a lack of a lot of artists fail to show up, and a lot of artists approach a new community with the wrong mindset. They're probably thinking like, what can I get out of this, as opposed to like, what can I pour into this? I'm assuming that the artists that perform multiple times and develop the best relationships with you guys is not just about like what they're getting from it, but what they're contributing to the community. Is that true?
100%.
yeah. And it's funny because there's this concept with giving where, when you give not to receive, but you give solely because you think that's what the world needs, or that's what the room needs, or that's what the other person needs, you actually get the most back in return. And we've seen that so many times. Even shout out to Big Mike, he's in there. He said, Jordan, don't forget about something alternative for the people in the chat.
Oh yeah, I was gonna mention it, but
our rock shows. But so Big Mike showed up, just one of many examples, showed up to I think eight or nine events and didn't get on stage. And he was first in line at our biggest event at the time, which was, I think 400 people. There we got the comment on screen. Shout out to Big Mike the Virgo. And we kind of went up to him and he said, hey, you're opening the show. And he was always front row. He was always making Instagram stories to showcase everyone else's talent without getting on stage, without asking for anything, without getting picked. And he opened the show that night and he ended up beating Flyana Boss in the competition that night and winning it all. Because of the music. And so we try to emphasize timing and divine timing and being right on time wherever you are in life. But the more you give, the more you get out for sure at these events.
And at the time too, Big Mike, we have his permission to share his story because he owns his story. But when he won that competition, he was living in his car and he won $500. And he beat these artists that just dropped a song with Missy Elliott. So it's insane. Like can't make. There's a girl that this girl got onto Jimmy Kimmel, and she entered our competition. We do these competitions where first person to show up can perform at our stage, and she literally ran to be the first person at Dash Radio, and because she showed up for herself, she got posted on our Instagram, and one of the homies, one of the mentors, Adrian and Brad over at Zion, they saw her on Instagram and he hit me up. He was like, yo, I booked that violin girl to play violin for October London with Jimmy Kimmel with Snoop Dogg. So we got a video of her saying, like, if it wasn't for something dope, I would have never been on Jimmy Kimmel.
I mean, I'm talking to artists all the time, so people know that I'm always saying something. But another thing that I constantly am telling artists, like, of course, we want to run numbers up. We want the biggest numbers possible. But sometimes more important than how many are watching, it's who is watching, right? Because there are still some decision makers out there that can grant you an opportunity that you may not even knew existed or you didn't even think about. And that sounds like that was an example of that, being on Jimmy Kimmel after performing at your guys' event.
Oh, yeah. That's one of Jeremy's favorite quotes, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I said that on stage in San Diego, where it's not about how many people are watching, it's who's watching. And I can attest to that personally. My entire career, I had 1,000 followers on Instagram. I was conducting interviews that were getting 200, 300 views just to build my portfolio. And one of the people that continued to, and I was posting content, I was trying to do what I do now, but just doing it with the resources I had, 1,000 views here, 2,000 views there. And one of the people that was the 300 people who were watching one of my interviews was Michael McCrudden, who worked and owned at a YouTube channel with 3 million subscribers, and said, "Hey, I love what you're doing. Come host for me." And, from there, somebody who was watching, maybe I had 2,000 followers at the time. And one of the people was working at Hip Hop DX and said, "Hey, I saw what you're doing before they're famous. Come work for us." And we've seen that countless times with artists who maybe get on stage, and we have an industry connect there from a label or management service or PR or whatever. And they've seen that person on stage. Maybe there was only 20 people in the room, but one of those 20 people at the end of the night, if you went hard as if there was 50 people in the room or 100 people or 2,000, they might see that and give you an opportunity.
No, that's a fact. There's this artist, Josh Moreland. I was at Los Globos, texting, not even paying attention. And the event is over, and there's one artist performing for like 5 people. I was like, this guy is actually very good. And he was performing way too hard for the 4 people in the room that weren't paying attention. And I got his contact. I was like, yo, like, send me some music. Like, what you performed, like, that was dope. And you didn't even need to put that energy in it. He was like, yeah, the show ran late. I could only do one song, so I just went out there and did that. Next day, I brought him to Pooh Bear Studio, to Black Star, and heard more music. I immediately called like the biggest music connect I have, Jason Flom. He signed Katy Perry, Kid Rock, Lord. I sent him music. He was like, oh my God, like, this is incredible music. And then he set up a meeting with me, Josh, the head of his publishing and the head of his label. Nothing came from that situation, but shout out Josh Moreland. He just signed a pub deal with Rock Nation like a month ago.
So, yeah. I mean, it's example after example. I mean, Jeremy, I've seen you do your interviews. I've seen you on the red carpet, and because a lot of people think that the podcasting, the hosting, all that stuff is easy. It's like, oh, just give me a mic and let me start talking. It's not easy. You need your reps, and even if you don't have a shitload of numbers, I can tell you've gotten your reps. Like it's fluid. Like when you talk, there's not as many non-words, the conversation flows, like all of that comes with reps. So even if you don't have a lot of numbers, I can tell, okay, this guy's experienced. I'm gonna put that in my back pocket because I know when I have an event, or if I have an event, like he could be somebody I can reach out to, and it will represent my event well because I'll have somebody polished on the red carpet or on the stage. So if you're good at what you do, sometimes it don't matter how many people are in the room. It's about, who knows that you exist. So anyway, that's my spiel. I'll get off my soapbox. What are the cities planned coming up, like for the rest of the year? Just because obviously there's people watching that may not be in LA. What are some of the other cities? Are they listed somewhere?
It's funny because whenever we announced the tour, the only official thing about it was the flyer. Nothing else really existed completely. So
wait, hold on. You guys are doing well, but I'm gonna need you guys to work on your structure and stop announcing events like a day before they happen. I'm gonna need some structure to this. I'm gonna need, hey, we're coming to St. Louis October 11th. We're coming. Like, let's take a step back and figure
That's
this
on the goal list.
What'd you say?
That's on our goal list this year.
You guys hit each other up like today and be like, yo, you want to do an event tomorrow? Like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's rock.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
I mean,
so what cities are on the wish list then? If they not set up.
Well,
yet,
I'll tell you the ones that are locked in. But if you look
Okay.
at the first tour announcement, it's different from what's actually confirmed. So we've already done 7 different cities so far this year. We've done Oklahoma City, Vegas, LA, Bakersfield, San Diego, Charlotte, and the Bronx. So we have Denver, Colorado this Wednesday, and it's actually a pretty popular venue called Your Mom's House. And then we have
That's not him joking. That's the venue.
Yeah, that's actual name. And
It's
then in
connected
May,
to the one we have in Hollywood. Isn't that there's one in Hollywood too, or sounds something similar? I
Mama
don't know if it's
Shelter?
connected, but
I'm not sure. That's a good question.
something like that. Anyway, my bad.
But yeah, so in May, we're also taking our Pass the Aux experience on tour as well. So we have the legendary ID Lab studio locked in May 17th. And that's the studio where Mac Miller started. That's the studio where Wiz Khalifa started. And Wiz Khalifa's manager, Will, has an office in that studio. So he's going to be a big part of
Pittsburgh. So that's in Pittsburgh?
Pittsburgh. Yeah.
Okay.
So May 17th, May 17th, Pittsburgh. The day after, we're going to drive to Cleveland, Ohio, May 18th. We got like the nicest music studio in that city, Lava Room Recording locked in, and we're going to have a Pass the Aux experience there. Both of these studios, too, they got like 3 rooms and a big live room, so there'll be like 150 to 200 people each event. And then May 19th, the day after, we locked in Reggie's in Chicago. So we're partnering with the real ones out there. It's a dope community of artists, and they do media as well. And we're doing a big open mic at Reggie's on May 19th, which is a Sunday. And then we get to June, and we have Toronto. So we're doing a 3-day event in Toronto with this group called Bee Cave. It's going to be June 7th, 8th, and 9th. And essentially, they make an album over the course of 3 days, and then they put out the music. And we have a nice niche audience in Toronto that have been coming to LA performing our events, and we're excited to see them out there in Toronto. And Jeremy's from Canada, so he's super tapped in Canada.
Bring it back home.
And then June 11th, we're locking in Pass the Aux event in London, which is going to be in the UK. We'll go back. Also the tour is never going to end. We're going to go back to all these cities.
You never know. They might plan something today for your city tomorrow. Just surprise.
So June 11th, we're going to be doing a Pass the Aux in London, and that's Jeremy's birthday. Big 30. And then June 14th, we have this 1,200 person venue locked in Palermo, Italy. This guy, Stefan, hit us up on Instagram over a year ago. He was like, hey, I love what you guys are doing. I'm sure you're gaining interest in Europe. I would love to partner with you guys. And he's the head of So Far Sounds in Italy. So he's tapped in. He has a music venue, a music school, all these other things. And he's bringing together 8 to 10 different creative entities to do this big 1,200 person daytime festival kind of experience in Italy for June 14th. So those are all locked in. And we just got hit up by another festival. So I don't know if anybody here knows, but Rolling Loud hit us up to host an open mic at the Rolling Loud LA. So they gave us a stage for 3 days, and we just did that a month ago. But we got hit up by another festival, and this is the biggest hip hop festival in Romania. They're expecting 300,000 attendees. They got 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, Gucci Mane.
The lineup looks not real.
Yeah, Anita, Trippie Redd, Yeet, 6ix9ine, Lil Pump, and
6ix9ine. Wow.
Yeah, he got to be on the But
so you got a lot of dope events going on. People tap in. It's at Something Dope for the people on Instagram. Bunch of stuff going on. What city outside of LA has been the best response or the biggest showcase so far?
Probably Vegas, or maybe
Vegas?
Probably Vegas.
Vegas.
My favorite's been Charlotte. Charlotte was really cool because it was a very unique. The crowd was very similar in the sense of very supportive, very uplifting, but also it felt like they were in need of something to bring everybody together like that. And shout out to Reese Raps, who we partnered with there. She's been doing that and building a community, but that was cool. It was coming from LA to Charlotte and seeing a similar vibe. That was dope. And Vegas is obviously, Vegas, the drive down is fun. When we get there, we have good partners there. And last Friday, and we've done our own shows there. So it's been fun in Vegas.
Yeah. And so honestly, the San Diego event that we just did, like that one was very great to me. That was our first out of city event that we didn't collab with an existing community. So that was an important one also.
Dope. Then I was gonna make 2 points. I think I forgot the first one. However, you guys are using I mean, I guess for lack of a better word, a cheat code that I tell artists that they should be using, and that is tapping in. If you can authentically tap into communities that already exist, you can move a hell of a lot faster, right? But the trick, it has to be authentic. You can't just be like, because as an artist, a lot of these communities are already connected, right? So for example, the vegan community, right? The vegan community, like they follow a lot of the same pages. They're in some of the same chat rooms. Like there's a framework, there's an infrastructure for information to flow, right? So if your music somehow just resonates with vegans, it's going to spread a lot faster because again, these channels already exist. Or whether you're part of the military community, like with my label that I used to run, I had no idea what a juggalo was, but the juggalo community resonated heavy with Hobson's music, and we leaned into that because now once somebody in that community likes the music, it's going to spread like wildfire because they have Facebook groups. At the time, there was MySpace. They were still using like chat rooms and like these M&M like chat rooms and things like that. So you guys are kind of doing something similar because you guys are tapping in with other organizations that have a community that trusts what they do, right? They're going to trust this new partnership because they trust them. So is that part of what it seems very similar. Is that part of what you guys are doing?
Yeah, that's definitely part of the strategy. And, there's a lot of like-minded people like us in these other places that want to be a part of something like what we built in LA. And there's a longer term vision too with these existing partnerships. And like what you're saying with artists joining communities, there's this artist, Young Momo. We interviewed her at our event in San Diego. She's the one that also flew to Charlotte. She said in the interview that she has 600 mutual followers with Something Dope. She was like, my whole fan base came from here. And this is real life people, but with every city that we're talking to, what we're telling them is our goal is to build a bridge with Charlotte and LA, or we want to build a bridge with Denver and LA. So people can tap in with us and then automatically tap in with every other city. It's like, oh, where should I go in Denver or Seattle or whatever. Oh yeah, we got this, that, So
yeah,
we
the other benefit, because we used to do a lot of touring, and I just trying to understand like, different local markets, and there's much like any other city, there's a lot of like infighting of like, who throws the best shows or who's the best artist and things like that. So sometimes an outside organization can kind of settle, like calm some of that mess down and like bring folks together for, something bigger than themselves, right? I don't know if you've seen that or heard that feedback from a particular city. There's typically a lot of competition, amongst promoters, amongst artists, like that happens, and it kind of stifles some of the potential of that city.
Even here too, like there's people that are too busy trying to compete with us in LA that they don't want to collaborate. I'm like, look, first off, you're not nearly competing with us. We're on a whole different thing. But second off, I'm trying to work with y'all. There's people that we want to work with that, like, everyone just needs to stop competing with each other and just compete with yourself. Like, that's what we did. We are only competing with ourselves. And that's how we keep taking things to the next level. So,
yeah, no, I felt the same way. Like when I started doing like music business education stuff, like once my label crashed and burned, and I was like, you know, there's even competition in that space. And I'm like, yo, I'm not, if you got great stuff to share, I want to amplify what you're doing, because, you know, I didn't start this platform to even make money in the first place. If you're trying to slang your courses or whatever, that maybe that's a different approach to thing, but that's not that. I don't have a course to sell. This is a platform for nuanced conversations about a lot of things. So, but yeah, it gets frustrating. No matter what you're doing, I feel like people start competing and start acting weird, and it just messes up, you know,
Which
a
that's
lot.
what makes us so special is it's a very communal, supportive atmosphere. You know, like people are going crazy cheering on a random person on stage. You know, so that's what really made us unique. Is it's a room full of people that want to support others. You know, want to work with others.
Outside of your guy Big Mike that's in the audience, is what's another artist or a few artists that have stood out after being one of your showcases, and why did they stand out to you?
Jeremy, you can name a few.
I think there's a bunch that, for different reasons. So there's people who have stood out musically, and there's people who have stood out just as personalities. I think one example, I think that's a cool showcase of growth that we've witnessed is Lakon, the singer who, you know, he just got placed on a bunch of Spotify lists. He's working with some big artists now.
Spotify Rising R&B, I think.
Yeah, he's at the and was it Soul Bloom Festival too? So he came to one of our Pass the Oxes with one of our friends had sent him over and said, yo, you should go, you know, let my friend come to the event. I was like, it's last minute, but yeah, have him pull up. Is he dope? He's like, yeah, sure. He's cool. So Lakon, incredible voice.
Somebody knows Lakon. Yeah.
So he came to our Pass the Ox, and he's the only person to ever get an encore at Pass the Ox, where he played a song. And keep in mind, this is, you know, it's a supportive place, but everyone wants to get their music off. Everyone wants to be heard. And so we're sitting upstairs before we get into the actual studio to get feedback. He plays a song, and everyone said, please play another. Please play another. So he plays another one, and both were produced by Bongo on the Beat, who heard his music from TikTok doing a Summer Walker cover of a song he produced, brought him into the studio. They made songs together. Goes downstairs into the studio, and I couldn't wait to see what our guests' reaction were. And one of them was Pooh Bear's manager, and he played a song, and then he was, again, the only person that I've ever seen him go play another right away. Plays both of those songs, which are both out now, and this was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
He starts like texting Tunji right away. He's like, yo.
He said, this is, I think he said, Peaches may have been recorded here, but this is one of the best things to ever come out of this studio. There's a lot of Bieber songs, but he said this is one of the most talented people to ever step in this studio. And
we had 300 monthly listeners at the time. I remember, like, this was 2.5 years ago. 300 monthly listeners. Now all his songs got millions, hundreds of thousands of plays. But we brought him out at the Peppermint Club.
And it was a great showcase of knowing where you're going to be and being comfortable not being there yet. So he gets on stage the next day at our open mic, and again, 300 monthly listeners, no hit song out, you know, less. I think he had maybe a couple thousand followers on Instagram, but he commanded the stage to the point where he knew where it was going. He knew what the music was. He probably got 50 to 150 new fans that night. And just to see his growth from there to then is really cool as an artist. But then, you know, to your point, we've had so many people who have just been really cool participants in the event who show up every week, who are kind of a part of the crowd in a sense, who, you know, bring new people. Another one I want to highlight is Flair, who, you know, he's worked with us for a long time. He was, you know, one of our very first interns, but he was 17 years old at MI, listening to these two other ambassadors who, when we had an ambassador program, were just going out to different places and talking about something dope, which, shout out to Smalls and Goodfellow, we didn't ask anyone to do. They just loved the experience so much that they wanted to give.
They loved something dope so much. They started their own ambassador thing and would just go places and tell everyone about it.
So, and one of the people who stood and listened in a group full of a bunch of other people who walked away was this kid Flair from Hong Kong, who was attending the school, 17 years old. And he was so interested in learning more and being a part of it. And one thing led to another. He became our intern. He became a production assistant, but he's an incredible artist. And we've been able to give him opportunity to be on stage whenever we can in different cities, different events, shoot music videos, and to see his growth as an artist and just as a guy is amazing too.
Oh yeah. Shout out Flair.
So I put if there's people that are watching, whether you're on Twitch or Twitter or wherever, actually I don't think the comments flow through on Instagram. I can't see the comments on Instagram. But if you have a question, feel free to just put it in the comment box. Or I also put the link for you to be able to join us live. And if you want to come on camera and ask a question, you can do that as well. So I just put that in the comments. You should see it if you're watching on YouTube or if you're watching on Twitch. Just copy that link, put it in a browser, and I'll bring you live. If you don't have the ability to see that link or you don't want to come live, you can just type your question in the comments as well, and I will ask them as they come through.
Shout out to Zeke in the chat. I see Zeke's somebody who's come to our events for a really long time. And I see somebody just followed Lakon. They said never heard of him, but I'm gonna check him out. You won't regret it.
No, I get the fit. Like, so sometimes when like music execs, like they ask for another one and another one, because, a lot of times what independent artists lack is consistency in like quality of their music. Right. And sometimes that's because they just haven't gotten enough reps to be able to like bang stuff out like quality on a consistent basis. Or sometimes, they just don't have like the resources or the team to really give them like that A&R, just kind of the feedback that they need, to start creating consistently. So when a music exec is like, hey, let me hear another one, they're probably looking for like some consistency from song to song to see kind of where you're at with things in your development. Anyway, another question just for people that may be interested in like starting a showcase or a brand. Like what has been like some of the most important things to consider, or maybe some things that you made a mistake that you had to course correct later to get it right. But when if you were to start this over again, like what could you have done to speed up the process, or how would you think about things differently now as opposed to when you guys initially started?
Definitely data, like phone number, email, text, acquire that data. Whenever we did actually the first open mic, that was the first time I ever sent out an email blast. We had 700 submissions of artists that wanted to perform at Something Dope, and we were just doing like curated artist shows. And we sent all 700 of those people that wanted to perform an email. Hey, we got an open mic. We know you've been wanting to perform. And that was way easier than texting 50 people, 100 people, so work smarter, not harder, like now we can send one email and reach 10,000 people, like we don't even need to really post on Instagram to do events. But and organize the data too, like we have ladies night data, we got rock show data, we got just music artist data, then we have by genre and like, that's what I was.
The next time you come on, they're gonna be like, we probably should have started planning events more than 2 days ahead of when.
I don't know if we'll ever regret that one though. We did 800 people in 10 days. We did 400 people in 3 days. Like it's all just off the feeling. If we feel it's possible, then it's like boom, we gotta act on that.
To Jordan's point, I mean, to both those points, that is something that I think we have learned of like, okay, let's plan as far in advance as we can with everything going on. And, eventually, hopefully we have people on the team who their strict job is to take care of the logistical stuff so that, we don't have to do the creative and that. But I think for me, it was inspiring to see Jordan go off of instinct. And that's something that, I may do in my day to day, I may do on stage, but when I have fear about something, it's what, to your point, not maybe having enough time to plan, or is it the right time, or is it the perfect time? And even though I'm the guy on stage always saying you are exactly on time, sometimes I use that to my detriment of feeling like, okay, well, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. Maybe I'll wait a little longer before I do what I need to do. And we had an event opportunity at the Bourbon Room in Hollywood. And I remember the promoter said to us, we were outside of a nightclub that he was running, and the promoter said, all right, maybe we aim to do this in about 2 or 3 months. And Jordan's like, I think we could do it next week. Either next week or 2
I
weeks.
think it's this week. No, it was this. I think it was that week.
It's like, I think we could do it next week. And I even said, I normally just roll with whatever Jordan says because I trust his opinion. I trust his instinct. I said, are you sure you don't want to do like maybe a month? Like maybe we give 4?
Because we had an event that would have been 2 days before this additional event. So it's like, you want to do a 400-person venue 2 days after doing the 300-person?
And he was like, let's do it. And I was like, you know what? All right, we've said things before with less preparation. We've made it all happen. I trust it. Let's make it happen. And you know that event ended up being the same event that Fly on a Boss and Big Mike performed.
That's the one that we filmed. Not only did we do a 400-person event in 4 days, we pulled together a 700-person camera crew, 2 Reds. You know, it was. But yo, Ronnie, what's good?
Ronnie, what up, man? You on mute right now, but what's going on?
This was an accident. I joined this on accident. What up, Jordan?
Everything for a reason.
How you copy and paste a link and say you joined it on accident?
I was supposed to be behind the scenes. I didn't know it was gonna pop up on my face. I thought it was
so this is
so you don't have a question.
I do actually. I do have a question for sure.
And then this is Ronnie. He has a brand called Locals Only, and we're planning to collaborate with them in Phoenix.
Yeah, it's a process, but we're gonna get there. But I wanted to ask, what are the mistakes that you made when you started, and the mistakes that you are making right now?
Taxes, business, organization. I mean, man, mistakes are so important to make.
Yeah.
Like we definitely have made a lot, but I feel like we've faced more obstacles than we have made mistakes. But the biggest mistake is probably just, like the thing that we need to fix is more planning in advance and more organization. And it's not that any negative things really happens from that. It's just a buildup of stress. So there's way more pressure you can take off yourself with the more planning you do. But man,
case in point, right? Like you sent me, like I really want to support what you guys are doing, via 2 Laws, right? In addition to just having this conversation, you send me over a deck, and you got all these cities on there, and like some cities are happening, some cities are not happening. Like it's hard. It's like that's not how other people can operate. Like what you can do, right? You say, okay, I can put on an event next week. But that's knowing what you're capable of. Like the other people need to fit into that. So we need to see like what the vision is. We got other stuff going on. So we gotta, plan our stuff according from a budget perspective or a calendar perspective. So you got to start thinking not only what you can do, but how other people can plug into this easily and support what you guys are doing. Right. So that's ultimately why it's even more essential for you guys to be a little more organized going forward.
No, absolutely.
And I think you keep going, Jay.
Oh no, you good?
I was gonna say, just from a standpoint of the actual event and seeing what works on stage, what doesn't work on stage, I think the biggest mistake we made early on was trying to cater to everyone's expectations and everyone's needs, and each person as an individual, making everyone happy. I think I'm very much a giving person, and I take it to heart when someone doesn't, get something that they want. But it was also something where we had to just set better boundaries. And if people aren't willing to respect that, then they aren't necessarily a part of the people that we want there. Like, everybody being like, can I get on stage? Whether you're a friend or not, or, whether we're someone you just met. And it's like people really were asking for a lot. And I would always be the guy to be like, yes, I'll do my best. Now we've learned to be like, you know what, this is the way the event works. If you want to be a part of that structure of the event, that's amazing. If not, I can't guarantee anything because it's going to take away from everyone else's experience. So I think just setting better personal boundaries, and better event boundaries has been like a mistake that we learned from very early on.
Yeah, definitely. And neglecting revenue streams too. Like there's so many different ways to generate revenue. It doesn't have to just be from selling, this $10 to $20 ticket. It's like just brainstorm more revenue streams, brainstorm more packages, and think more about revenue. Like me, I'm so creative where it's like, to me, like the money is almost the last thing. It's like we want to create this experience first, but maybe have someone that can balance that side out, and just we're not out here trying to hustle everybody, but like this is also a business that we need to sustain itself at minimum.
Yeah. Hey, Ronnie, appreciate you joining, man. I got to get to a few more folks, but definitely appreciate you tapping in because I got a hard stop in 5 minutes. Got a meeting I got to get to, but let's see. We're gonna bring on, looks like Naj from Tap Candle Company.
Yes. Hey, y'all. Good afternoon. So I'm new to LA. I've been here like going on 2 years, right? And so I have a candle brand where we create candles out of music. So each candle is going to be like reminiscent of the song that you're listening to, kind of like a full immersive experience. But so not being from LA, I've gone through some situations where I feel like people will try to steal your idea and say that it's theirs, even though it's not theirs, right? And like, although y'all have been doing this for a while, when did you know that it was the right time to say, all right, boom, we have this great idea, we're going to move forward from this? Like, when did y'all know that it was the right time to share that with the public?
Wait, before you answer, Jordan, how you make a candle out of music? I don't understand. Like,
Okay, So, I actually don't have any in the house because I just was at an event at Josephine and Billy's. But so basically what I do is I will take a song. So one of my best sellers is Sexy Love, the Neo song, right? And so I have paired that with fragrance that embody the essence of the song. So that candle smells like peach, coconut, and lang. So it gives you that soft sensuality, but fresh and fruity. It gives you a little like, sexy love. Like, it gives you the vibe. And then the candles have a QR code on them for you to listen to the song while you burn the candle. So you get like the full experience.
That's super dope.
That's super
dope. Proceed, Jordan. I just had to ask.
For ladies' night, so
Well, a year ago on Instagram, I posted, "It'll never feel like the right time." Like if it never feels like, oh, we should do this right now. That's why I just go so much off of emotion of feeling, let's do this. It's like, let's not just do this. Let's do this as soon as we can, because a month or 2 months is a lot of time to put in between you not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Like the event we're doing today, it was something that we decided 2 days ago. And if it didn't happen today, it probably wouldn't happen for months because of how busy we are. So it's like, you know what? You just got to look at the calendar and be like, boom, it's happening right here, and start planning backwards from there, but it'll never feel like the right time in my opinion. I don't know. Maybe Jeremy has.
No, I mean, I think I agree. It's like putting the vision out there. You already know you have something special. Like you saw all our reactions, you have your pitch ready. So finding low stakes environments where you can act on your idea and test things out is the best way to do it. Whether you have friends that are throwing events that you want to partner with, or you want to do an online shop, or you want to do testers where you can make mistakes, low stakes, where you can learn from it and use it before you maybe do the big event or the big launch or whatever it is. But
or make big mistakes. I love big mistakes too.
Or Jordan, likes big mistakes. But to your other
big mistakes.
I don't know about that, player.
I mean, big mistakes, big lessons.
Big lesson, yeah.
Man, big lessons.
I'll learn from your mistakes. Your big mistakes.
Why people learn from others?
Whatever you want to do it now. Do it now. Like anything you just, because it's like you're not gonna. There's no major. It's not like, oh my God, my life is gonna end if I fail. Like I met the guy that created Bop It. He said he's failed more times than anyone in his life, and I feel the same way. I feel like we take a lot of losses, but it's like that's how you really learn what works and what doesn't work is by experiment, you know. So try everything.
Dope.
Gotcha. No facts. I appreciate that. And if y'all need a project manager, hit the girl. I can help y'all. Make sure y'all
There
fit
you
on
go.
time.
Nah, you need to holler at some independent artists and just do like some like collaborations with their merch, so you could
with their
promote
song.
music,
Well, your
promote-
song.
Yeah.
you know what I'm
That's
saying?
the goal, y'all. That's the goal. So plug me. Like I applied
You
to be at
plugging
Ladies
yourself
Night.
right
I know
now.
you got a hard stop, but I'm
Yeah.
here.
Plug yourself right now. Where's Instagram? Where
Yeah,
we
it's
at?
Wednesday, we're at Los Lobos in May. Every Wednesday.
For sure. So our Instagram is Tap Candles, and our website is also tapcandles.com. If you're an artist and you want a candle, we have a custom candle inquiry. You could just go ahead, fill that out, and then we'll set a 30-minute consultation to go through it. I take a lot of pride in my products. They're all natural and non-toxic. I use coconut wax, and I'm all about sustainable luxury, and because music will connect the world. So I'm here if y'all need me.
Whoa.
Tap in.
That's how you pitch yourself. That is an elevator pitch. She had 30 seconds on the clock. Done. So
Yeah, appreciate it. Nige, appreciate you tapping in. Welcome to LA. I'm definitely gonna
Thanks.
check out your Instagram page. You have a good one.
I'm gonna drop it in the chat.
All right.
appreciate you.
All right, we gotta do this last one quick because I gotta run. Huey,
up,
you got a
y'all?
question, bro? What's the
Yeah,
question?
yeah,
We gotta
yeah,
get
yeah.
you
What's
in
up,
quick
y'all?
before we cut.
Got you. So real quick, I'm from OKC. I went to something. I went to Pastor Ox. Real quick, just like an artist question. I'm a conscious spiritual rapper. How do you grab a crowd just being around people that mostly enjoys being entertained versus entertaining them with a perspective that's gonna help us move forward with humanity and like kind of reaching them on a relatable perspective? And who are the other people like that I could talk to and pretty much build something with? Because I feel like we got a lot of independence when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to like reshaping our future and dealing with the problems that we all face together.
I think one thing that we've tried to do, because that is part of our mission, is to, elevate consciousness, elevate people in a room in order to, see their version of themselves at the highest possible potential. One thing that's worked for me, at least on stage, has really been to communicate those ideas in a way that relates to the room that people can access. Sometimes if you're trying to go 7 steps forward, or, you're talking about chakras or manifestation in a way that's really abstract, whether it be in your music or how you intro things, they may not be able to fully touch exactly what you're getting to. But I could stand up there and say, how many of you guys feel like you need to show yourself a little bit more love? Or who here has a dream that they want to achieve? How about you close your eyes for 30 seconds? What does that dream feel like to you? Those are easy, accessible ways that whether you're on stage or on Instagram or talking before a song, put that in there, have them, gather them, and then you'll gather the like-minded people that relate to that, and they'll go forward with you.
For sure.
I mean, there's a lot of artists out there pushing positive messages, man. I would just follow them and see what's working for them. Is there collaboration opportunities, or maybe you're just following, watching, and learning, seeing how they're moving. But it's definitely not all negative messaging out there. I think at this point in time, there's so many different artists doing, so many different things that there's lanes for everything, being said. So, Huey, appreciate you tapping in, man.
Sure.
Appreciate
Peace. Fellas, this was a great conversation. We're definitely going to have to tap in maybe later in the year and just kind of see what's up with something dope for the people. For people that weren't familiar, make sure you follow them on Instagram. Is that the best place to follow something dope for the people? Or are you guys heavy on TikTok as well?
I mean, you can follow our TikTok, but yeah, definitely Instagram.
Okay, dope. Any last words? Anything that we miss?
Hey, everybody, just show up. Show up.
Yeah,
Actually, maybe one message. Maybe we'll give them a secret word to say if they see us at the open mic at Los Globos, and we'll put them on stage. Maybe, first person that says "too lost" to us at the open mic can perform on stage.
When's the next open mic?
Every Wednesday in May, we're gonna be at Los Globos in LA.
Make sure you say "too lost." You get on stage, holla at them.
First person.
Just the first person. Oh, just the first person. My bad. Hold on. Just the first person. You gotta be quick. You gotta be quick with it. Jeremy, Jordan, man, I appreciate it. We'll definitely stay connected. We'll figure out how to, support what you guys are doing even more. So, Until then, Mondays, 12 p.m. Every Monday, we have Two Lost office hours. I believe next week we're going to be joined by some internal folks. I think we're going to have our head of label services and head of product management join us, so you can learn kind of what they do and how they help push a lot of artist music forward. So that'll be Monday, 12 p.m. Pacific. Like every Monday, you'll see me here. Hopefully everybody has a great week. Share your wins with us on Wednesday, and I'll see y'all then. Peace.
Thank you so
for
much.
having us. See you tonight if you're there. The Virgil event.